For generations, Americans believed that if they worked hard, earned a good salary, and stayed out of trouble, financial security would naturally follow. It was the promise of the American dream. Graduate from school, get a stable job, buy a home, raise a family, save for retirement, and enjoy a comfortable life. For decades, that formula worked. But in 2026, something has changed. Millions of hardworking people are doing everything they were told to do, yet they still feel like they're falling behind. They wake up early, work long hours, pay their bills on time, and still wonder why their bank account never seems to grow. And it's not just low-income families anymore. Teachers, nurses, engineers, software developers, police officers, even people earning six-figure salaries are quietly asking the same question. Why doesn't my money go as far as it used to? Imagine a man named David. He's 34 years old, lives in Arizona, and earns about $105,000 a year as a project manager. 10 years ago, that salary would have placed him comfortably in the upper middle class. Most people would assume he's financially secure, but David doesn't feel wealthy. Every month, his mortgage payment climbs because of higher insurance and property taxes. His grocery bill is larger than it was just a few years ago. Car insurance keeps increasing. Electricity costs more. Healthcare premiums continue rising. Student loan payments are back, and childcare takes another large chunk of his paycheck. By the time every bill is paid, there's barely enough left to save or invest. On paper, David looks successful. In reality, he feels like he's running just to stay in the same place. And David's story isn't unique. Across America, millions of households are experiencing the same financial squeeze. They aren't making reckless decisions. Many budget carefully, avoid unnecessary debt, and try to save whenever they can. Yet every raise seems to disappear before it even reaches their bank account. Instead of moving ahead, they're simply trying to keep up. One of the biggest reasons is something economists call the cost of living squeeze. Inflation may not dominate the news like it did a few years ago, but prices haven't gone back down. Once prices rise, they rarely return to previous levels. That means families are permanently paying more for groceries, housing, transportation, healthcare, and other everyday necessities. Even if inflation slows, the higher prices remain. Housing has become one of the biggest financial challenges. For decades, buying a home was considered one of the smartest ways to build wealth. But in 2026, many first-time buyers feel completely locked out of the market. Home prices remain high, while elevated mortgage rates make monthly payments far more expensive than they were just a few years ago. Even people with good jobs and solid savings often discover that the home they could comfortably afford in 2020 is now beyond their budget. Even homeowners aren't immune. Property taxes continue rising in many communities. Home insurance has become significantly more expensive, especially in areas affected by hurricanes, floods, or wildfires. Repairs and maintenance cost more because both labor and building materials are more expensive. For many families, owning a home has shifted from being a symbol of financial stability to becoming another source of financial pressure. Renters face a different but equally difficult reality. Rent has climbed in cities across the country, leaving many people spending a larger share of their income just to keep a roof over their heads. Money that could have gone toward investing or building an emergency fund disappears into monthly rent payments, making it harder to get ahead year after year. Transportation has also become much more expensive. For most Americans, owning a car isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. But new vehicles cost more than ever. Used car prices remain elevated compared to previous years. Insurance premiums continue climbing. And repair bills have surged as modern cars become packed with advanced technology. Even a minor accident can result in repair costs that run into thousands of dollars. Healthcare continues to put pressure on household budgets as well. Even people with employer-sponsored insurance often face high deductibles, co-pays, and prescription costs. A single medical emergency can erase years of savings. And for many families, it's not one major expense causing financial stress. It's dozens of smaller expenses quietly adding up month after month. Food prices tell the same story. Families are buying many of the same groceries they always have, yet somehow spending far more at checkout. Restaurant meals cost more. Fast food isn't nearly as affordable as it once was. Even cooking at home requires a much larger grocery budget than it did only a few years ago. Individually, these increases seem manageable. Together, they put enormous pressure on household finances. The biggest frustration is that wages haven't kept pace for everyone. Some workers have received raises, but those raises are often swallowed by higher housing costs, insurance premiums, groceries, childcare, and healthcare. The paycheck gets bigger, but purchasing power barely improves. That creates a dangerous psychological trap. Many people start believing they're doing something wrong. They blame themselves for not budgeting well enough, not saving enough, or not investing soon enough, but the reality is often far more complicated. Millions of Americans aren't falling behind because they're irresponsible. They're falling behind because the financial landscape has changed dramatically. The rules that helped previous generations build wealth simply don't work the same way in 2026. And beneath all of this is an even bigger problem, one that doesn't appear on a receipt or a monthly bill. It's quietly changing how Americans spend, save, and think about money. Without realizing it, millions have adopted financial habits that slowly drain their wealth while creating the illusion that they're making progress. And that's exactly where the real story begins.